When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
This episode is brought to you by Opill, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opill is FDA approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opill. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opill at Opill.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Right, everyone, we're here with Ollie Freckingham today from Rothley Park to talk about the Leicestershire Rutland Cricket League. It was a fascinating battle at the top all the way through last season between Ollie's club, Rothley Park, who unfortunately for him ended up in second place, and Kibworth, who won the league by 9 points in the end. We'll come to what happened in that league during the season a little bit later. But down the bottom, unfortunately, poor Kegworth and Syston been relegated. But let's get to it with Ollie. How was it for you, Ollie, through the season? Bit disappointed in the end?
In the end, yeah, I think we would be disappointed. When you put a side together that we have, you kind of, a successful side, you go in every game and you're trying to win everything that you enter. And we won the County Cup, as we call it, our Sunday Cup competition. And then we won the T20 Cup locally as well. So, we did do very well on Sundays, but the not winning the league just sort of, it kind of bites at you a little bit. Although, we did have a good campaign, and Kibworth are an extremely good side. We've gone to battle with them for the since I joined Rothley 5 years ago. So we've gone to battle with them. They're a hell of a side, and they've done some brilliant things, and you can't knock that. And sometimes you just have to say well played to a club who is extremely good. It's brilliant going to battle with them every year, and I'm sure, again, we'll be going in against them.
Definitely. Looking at the run into the end of the season, you both won your last 6 games, and I think it was 29th of July. At the end of July, you played Kibworth. That was the last game you lost. It literally, you then just toe to toe, and you were almost looking for a result from someone else, weren't you? Absolutely,
yeah. And I think in them last 6 games, we probably pushed each other along even more, knowing that, another slip up here and probably one of us isn't going to win the league. Mm-hmm. And that game that we did lose to Kibworth, it was at the end of it, obviously with them winning, I've got some good friends at Kibworth that I've played with in the past, and just talking after the game, it just felt like almost like in football terms a 6-pointer, and we were ahead of them all the way in league season until then, and I think that just obviously the pendulum swung in their favour, and you can't go and tell your own players that that's the season done, boys, they're going to win the league, but I just felt in your heart, you just really feel that's them, they've probably won the league now, we've got to go and do it on a Sunday.
Definitely.
Just looking at that game, but the 2 games there against Kibworth, 127 for 8 in the plays 275 for 8 in the first game, and 111 all out plays 129 all out in the second game. So you're on the wrong end of both those results, I think.
Yeah, it was 2 tight games. I think at their place they outplayed us. To be honest, they scored 280, whatever it was you just said. And if it hadn't been for Nathan Book, I think he scored a quick fire 80 at the end. We probably were nowhere near really, and they played very, very well. The return fixture at our place, I thought we were well on top of that game for a majority of it, and really we should be getting over the line when you're only chasing 120 odd to win, especially in a game back importance.
Yeah, you got Josh Cobb in that game, 82 not out of 127 runs, so one performance.
66% of the runs from one player.
Yeah, terrific.
Definitely. So let's talk about the batters that you played against, Ollie. Do you want to go through the numbers on the top batters in the league there, Q?
Yeah, Sam Evans. I mean, there's some very familiar names here. Very current. Sam Evans, obviously. the step down towards the end of the season to play in the one-day cup final. But more importantly, 792 runs at 52, and at Leicester Ivanhoe, Selby Town. Greg Willows, 773 runs at 86. Matt Craven, 740 at 43 for Kibworth. And then Sonny Patel, Rothley Park, 674 runs at 42, rounding out the top five. Another familiar name, is it Adil Ali? Yeah. Kibworth, 671 at 39.47. So I think we looked at the league with Northants League. No one's getting above 600, and you've got guys, in a very wet summer hitting 800, several guys nearly hitting 800 runs. So it was good performances from the batters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can vouch for the Midlands ourselves, how wet it was during July in particular, and that game for you guys in July was the end of that period, Ollie. But of those top five batters, was there anyone who stood out for you there in terms of the league that they're just leagues above everyone else, or a bloody nightmare to bowl at from your perspective?
I think, I mean, the previous year, I think there was four batters got over 1,000 runs. It was obviously a much drier summer than this year. But then coming into this year, it's still, your best players always still score the runs, whatever the conditions. And the likes of, I mean, Matt Craven at Kibworth, he's been at the top of the pile for years and years. He's a fantastic player. Greg Willows from Selby, he's a terrific, I think he's still classed as an overseas player. He's over in Australia at the minute, but he's a top player. And then your other guys, your Sam Evans, he's obviously going to be at the top. He's a professional cricketer. I think last year he actually broke some stupid records in club cricket. I can't remember exactly what it was. Could have been the highest ever average in a Premier League season or something. I'm not sure.
1,056 runs at 176.
Yeah, I know he broke some records. So
in only 14 games.
Yeah, so, and then you got Ads from Kibworth as well, top player, ex-pro again. But you do seem to have the best players are always going to shine whatever the conditions. And Sonny had a pretty good season for us. Just coming to it, we signed him from Notts Cavs last year, and he's come in and settled in. I think he'll be pretty happy with his first season with us. So but there are some top players around, even players on there that you've not named. Who Tom Wells at Newtown Linford, he's come back to the league, also an ex-Leicester player. There's some good batsmen out there. Rob Taylor as well. He's at Oakham. I'm surprised he's not on that list, actually.
He came 14th, I think, in the league.
Right, he scored a double 100 in one game. So, but another top player. So there are some good players around, and it's always it's good to have them. And there's a good mix at different clubs. I think it's always nice that you've got that challenge when you go and play all around the county.
Yeah, there's a few lads who you mentioned, Rob Taylor there and Josh Cobb. Both of those over 500 runs in 10 and 11 games respectively. So I think Josh Cobb, whilst only managing 10 games for Kibworth, was the difference in a fair few of those games, averaging 64 and striking 120 nearly, which is higher than pretty much anyone else down to old mate Dieter Klein. So
we'll come to Dieter.
We may come to.
Yeah, we might come to that later, definitely. So in terms of the Leicester League and the batters there, then for you, Ollie, you've got experience over in the Cheshire area as well, haven't you, for a few years? How do you compare the two?
I definitely think it's got stronger in the Leicester League over the past few years. Like we were mentioning earlier, it does help when you've got quite a lot of either current pros or ex-pros that do stay local to the league. It does definitely strengthen it quite considerably. I mean, probably hard to judge at times this year because of how wet it was. It always makes it a little bit difficult. But I certainly think that we're definitely matching up with the Cheshire League. If not, I reckon this year we'd probably, I'd hate to say it, but we could probably put a decent account for ourselves against, as a whole, against the Cheshire League. The one thing I would say is when you play in Cheshire, your bowlers can bowl for longer periods. So we can only bowl 10 overs.
Right.
So you in the Cheshire League, your best bowlers are probably bowling for longer periods of time because you only really need 3 bowlers. In our division, you need your 5 bowlers plus probably your 6th bowler if one of your top 5 has an off day. So that kind of probably levels things out a little bit. But, we put a big account for ourselves, definitely. So everywhere you go, there always seems to be a challenge, definitely as a bowler.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of our favourite subjects, Hugh, isn't it? The difference between leagues.
It's one of our favourite subjects to avoid.
Yeah, it's the biggest minefield possible in club cricket. What league plays what rules? Who can bowl what distance? It's just all over the place, isn't it? And do you think that we should have more equilibrium in terms of how you all play the game at Premier League level, for example, so that we are building towards the NCCA and building towards the seconds and the ones, and everyone's playing the same structure?
I do. I think the whole country should probably play. If you're having an ECB qualified league, then they probably should. However, if it goes to win, lose, draw, I'd say no, because we play win, lose, and it's the best format, 100% that we should be playing. But I do think that there probably does need to be some continuity across all leagues because, if we are looking to create pros like we are doing, we probably should all be playing the same format as an ECB qualified league.
Totally agree. Hey, we'll move on from that one because that was just a little sort of aside.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Let's have a look at the overseas guys, shall we, Hugh, in the Leicestershire League. What you got there?
Well, I'm struggling to pick them out. That's the tricky thing. Ollie would probably be more helpful there because unusually it seems to be the local guys and obviously the Leicester players jumping in that seem to be dominating the run scoring. So yeah, I'm gonna have to pass that one off.
Well, the standout overseas would be Greg Willows at Derby Town. He's a top player. I'm just trying to think of any other. I'm not sure if there is too many overseas because I know it is a lot harder these days to bring in overseas with visas and stuff, but Greg would be a standout player, definitely. He scored 1,000 runs previous year. Yeah. Just bowling out, and he's one of them players that the guys you hate bowling out are the ones that seem to have so much time to play the ball, and he just seems to be able to. He could play the piano before the ball gets to him. He just has so much time that his decision making.
There's the title of this episode.
It just makes his decision making that much better, and yeah, he's a top player.
And why do you think that is, then? There's not as many overseas in the Leicestershire League compared to, for example, the Lancashire League.
I mean, I think when you look around all the clubs, they're all sort of backing either a current pro or an ex-pro rather than going down the route of bringing in overseas. And overseas can be an expensive, it can be expensive to any club. You've got to, flights, accommodation, etc. So I think, like I said earlier, we're lucky that a lot of our local lads or local ex-pros and stuff are still with us. So, and I think it's good that clubs actually back that situation rather than going overseas. Yeah. Plus, on top of that, I do think visas are a lot harder to come by now. To get an overseas pro, they're almost too good to be an overseas and come over on a visa, or they're not good enough. No, what's the other way? They're too bad to not have the way the formats work. It's so complicated that I think that it just makes it easier if you can just go and back someone a little bit more local.
Yeah, and the days of, back in my day, 30 odd years ago, where, to be honest, 90% of the overseas that came over then, under age 23, and we're coming over experience more than anything. Now we're seeing the likes of ex-international players or guys who played 1 or 2 games for Sri Lanka or 1 or 2 games for Afghanistan. They're 28, 30 years old and they're commanding quite a fee to come over, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes it tough, doesn't it? Especially when you've got to find them somewhere to live as well. I think overseas is probably better for those guys you're trying to give opportunities to that are under 23, maybe rather than some gun ex-international that 30-odd looking to make a few pennies in this country sort of thing. I don't knock it. I think having overseas is brilliant. It brings a good variety to the league and stuff, but I do think it is a little bit tougher to get hold of them these days.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting balance, isn't it, between the overseas, as you say, the way current pros literally can drop down to the Leicester Premier League and play. You're playing against people who a week later might be playing the T20 Blast, or a month later into the 50 over game, aren't they?
Absolutely, it's great to come up against them. But no, it's good. It's good. Like, I think anyone would say that if you're coming up against a pro, it's brilliant. You're testing yourselves against the best, aren't you? I think everyone does that plays at a good level.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Leicestershire seems to be lucky in that what you want is the pro mentality around the rest of your team as well. And if you're able to get that locally, then you don't need to go overseas, do you? And obviously, clubs in other parts of the country where pros aren't as easy to get hold of from their local county sides, maybe don't have any choice but to look overseas for that, to bring in that quality to set the standards for the rest of the team.
But I think it's good to have these ex-pros. I mean, when you look at our youngsters at Rothley Park, when they're watching sort of like the likes of Nathan Buck, to go about their business, it can only encourage them to think, that's the sort of level standard that you need to be at. And again, when you go and play other clubs and against other sides, the current players that you've got or the current club players that you've got, they can see how these guys get about their business. And that's what you've got to be the best, really. So I think it's great for everyone, really, if you've got these lads in teams.
And it clearly tells me that your county club, Leicestershire County, have obviously got a real investment there in the Premier League and the local clubs. They're more than happy for players to come down and play regularly, aren't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, it looks like that way, definitely. So it should, really.
Yeah, and it's. I'm a big believer, and I've said this for donkey's years now, that without clubs of all levels, the England international cricket team doesn't exist. It literally, the pyramid goes from the bottom upwards.
Yeah.
Nobody starts playing cricket for England. They start playing for their local club, their local school, and it goes all the way up, doesn't it?
Absolutely, that's correct.
Got Rehan Ahmed. I know he didn't actually play in the Leicestershire League, but Leicestershire let him play at the start of the season for Cavs and Carrington in the Nottingham League. He only got 3 games in, but after the winter he had and the noise that is around him, you would think, oh no, let's wrap him in cotton wool. But no, he's out there playing for Cavs and Carrington. So good on Leicestershire.
Been given a central contract as well, I think.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So there you go, a club cricketer in 2023, because we can say that, with a central contract for England. It just proves how close the game is there. It doesn't happen in any other sport, as far as I can see, Ollie.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, let's look at the bowlers in your league, and there's going to be one standout here in particular, Hugh.
Well, we've got Dieter Klein at the top with 45 wickets at 11. Jigar Nate, 42 wickets at 12. Aaron Panditha, 35 wickets at 19. And then a certain Freckingham character, 34 wickets at 12. Nice average there. Gurbaj Singh, 34 wickets at 15. There, so that's the top 5, and I'll chuck in Nathan Buck there, 33 wickets at 12 as well, at Rothley Park as well. So top wicket takings. But I think the story of the year is a certain game where 9 of those 45 wickets were taken by Dieter Klein against Langton's, with yourself taking 1, Ollie, all bowled, which I think I looked up, and I think it was the only time in Premier League history, or ECB Premier League history, where everyone was bowled in an innings. I need to just double check that. There might have been one other. Unbelievable.
The question we have to ask there is, was Dieter on fire, or were you poor just to get 1 wicket?
He was on fire, to be honest. He was on fire. It actually got to a point where I think it was my 3rd or 4th over, and the lads were coming up to me and saying, you can't bowl anymore because you might get a wicket. We want him to get extra. Shut up. I need some more wicket. But no, he was unbelievable. I mean, he's had an unbelievable season. The wickets you mentioned then, plus his Sunday wickets, I think he's took something like 64 wickets. But bearing in mind, the first 5 games, I don't think he took a wicket. Wow. He had 3 games. The first 3 games he didn't take a wicket, then he had a shoulder injury. So yeah, I think if you wipe out the first 5 weeks of the season, he's took all them since then. So he was just unbelievable. And on that Langton's, I think he might have been in their head a little bit from previous games. The return fixture at our place, he took 6 against us. We then played them in the T20 final. Look, we bowled them out for about 60. I think again he took 3 or 4 wickets. So I think in the back of his, he was already in the back of their minds. And as soon as that ball gets swinging, he still bowls with heavy ball. And when that ball gets swinging back in, he's an absolute nightmare.
On that previous fixture, Langton's 59 all out. You got 3, he got 7, and that was it. All job done inside 15 overs, 13.5 overs. So it's a bit of a double.
It's a fixture we need to look forward to next year then, by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was a good wicket. There was a bit of moisture in it. It was very hard wicket, a bit of a grass tinge to it. But when we batted on it, it was quite tough. I'm not going to lie, it was tough. But I think it was one of them where you say if the batters get in, they'll be able to score the runs on it. It was one of them where you just needed to get yourselves in, but Dieter just didn't let anybody get in. And, you just have to take your hat off to some of these guys. They're just that good. And he's just one of them players that on his day is as good as anyone.
Slowly but surely, Hugh, they're taking them further down, aren't they?
Right, you talk about the batting. He also got 36 runs off 19 balls in the same game.
We want to be there for the next one to see whether it gets below 10, because it's getting silly now, isn't it? The one thing I can say, and I'm quite happy to mention this, he wasn't the single best figures in the entire country for the whole year, though. Alex Senior of Morpeth taking 10 wickets for 5 runs, 9 for 6 compared for 10 for 5. I mean, there's absolutely nothing between them, is there? But some incredible figures going around, and I'm sure Langton's are looking at the fixture list for next year themselves and going, oh, God, here we go again. We always talk about standout performances on the pod, and that clearly rates right up there in any league in the whole country. What else stood out through the season? Some standout performances, batters or bowlers for yourself, Ollie?
I think as a bowling unit, we probably, apart from really maybe Dieter's 7th and his 9th, we all sort of chipped in really, really well. We always say kind of one of them things where if it doesn't work for me and Dieter, we can then bring Nathan on. We've got another guy called Harry Funnell, one of our all-rounders. And then we've got Adam Hackett, another seamer who's very, very effective in club cricket. And then we've got a spin bowler who, to be honest, Neil Patel, we've not really used a great deal because Dieter goes and does his thing. And then you've got, Himself and Bucky were taking a few wickets, so he didn't get much of a chance. But I think as a bowling unit, we've just clicked really, really well. It's unfortunately a couple of times where we've just let ourselves down is with the batting, where the couple of totals that we should have knocked off would have changed our season quite dramatically. But everyone's really chipped in. I can't really pick out standout performance. I think Nathan actually took a 7 for early in the season against Kegworth as well. But everyone's just had their day really, and if they haven't had their day, they're chipping in every week, and that's all you can really ask for.
Definitely. So with that bowling unit gelling and working so well through the year, and you falling 9 points short of Kibworth to win the league, is it just that tiny tweak in the batting that you're looking for potentially over the winter? Is it I think all round still? The
group of batters that I had would, I'd back them every single week. I'd like to say it was a bit more of a time where on another day we would have knocked them runs off. I wouldn't say it was something that we would make a habit of doing. But however, we did do it in the T20 where I think it was the area final or regional final we got to, I don't know which way around it goes. And we bowled the team out for about 122. And again, we failed to knock that off. And if you put that in with the Kibworth game, they're two sort of what I would have called low totals on the day that had we knocked both of them off, our season would have looked completely different. And although we've got we took 2 cups away from the season, you can't really argue with it. I think that had we just nailed our skills a little bit better on them 2 days, I could have been sat here probably with, I'm not saying another trophy or whatever, but I think we'd have had a lot more to talk about this season. And that's what just bites you a little bit. Coming out of the season, you look back and you think, we've done really well. We won 2 cups, finished second in the league, but there was 2 results there that we should have won. 100% we should have won. And would have had, a different season if we were looking back at it now. A much better season.
And let's have a look at the all-rounders, shall we, Hugh? I think Nathan's up there, isn't he, in the all-rounders?
Nathan. So top Sam Evans again, 792 runs there and 28 wickets as well. Dieter, surprisingly, 387 runs at a strike rate of 172. So he's not hanging about to go with his 45 wickets. Adil Ali, 600 runs, just under 30 wickets. Jigger Naik, 140 runs, didn't quite count in the all-rounder, but still runs his runs, and then 42 wickets, and then Aaron Banga, 495 runs and 24 wickets. So those guys, and there's your Robert Taylor there after only 11 games, 500 runs and 23 wickets at Oakhams.
After 11 games.
Yeah, so only, that's a hell of a contribution. So they could get some more games out of him next year. That would go down very well.
You just can't beat a top quality club cricket all-rounder, can you, Ollie?
Absolutely not, especially a spinner. I think they're such a key figure to have in any team that you play with. I mean, you mentioned Jigger Knight there. If he's not one of the best spinners going around in club cricket, then, I don't know who it is, because he's just a sensational performer. He was a great performer when I played with him at Leicestershire, and he's still as good as he ever was, really. But he likes of Adil, another spinning all rounder. Rob Taylor actually bowls a bit of spin as well. So they're just absolute vital cogs in anybody's team. If you can have a batter who can bowl some spin, they're super. Actually, Kibworth are blessed with them because Cobby's also a spinning who can bowl some spin. You got Adil, Jigger. They're superb performers week in, week out.
And that is definitely something that literally across the whole of the country, it stands out, those players who are the top spinners and the batters as well. It doesn't matter which Premier League we look at, really, does it, Hugh?
Well, I think it was 7 of the top 10. It might have been were off spinners and a leg spinner, left or a right arm off. He's a leg spinner, and then it was 2 seamers in the top 10 wickets across the country. So, and we talked to Tom Evans, that the Liverpool comp, that if they're going for an overseas, that they're looking for a left arm spinner who can bat, and they'll build their team around that.
Yes, I suppose the question there for you, Ollie, and it's we do hear that, as Hugh said, from Tom and other people. Do we not coach enough spin at that younger age so that those guys are coming through for you guys later on?
I don't know if we don't coach it. I think the problem is with spin, you have to back them, because a spin bowler can bowl the same ball, and you can have so many different results from that delivery. And it's the key fact. You look at leg spin, and everyone says how leg spin it can go around the park, etc. But if a 12, 13, 14-year-old lad bowls leg spin, can land it, but he might be a little bit expensive, you kind of have to back that lad, because he's only just developing that art. And I think that's the same with a left arm spinner, an off spinner, whatever it is. You've got to back them, because batters will go after them because they are a slower bowler, especially at a young age. Younger people, they want slow bowling because they don't like the fast and nasties. So I just think that you have to, coaches and captains at the younger age groups, just have to back them a little bit more maybe than what they've been, so that they develop, because at the end of the day, a cricketer probably isn't fully developed until 18, 19, 20 really. And then from there, they still improve with experience and what have you. So, yeah, from a young age, you've got to just keep backing them, I reckon.
And definitely with a spinner, they could bowl. Obviously, we've got the freaks of this world like Jimmy Anderson, who's going on till he's about 400. But generally, spinners can just bowl later on in their age because they're not putting as much pressure through their body full stop, are they? So you're right, they can develop it even 18, 20, 22, and then bang, they've got probably still 15, 20 years in them, haven't they, at least?
That's it, absolutely, definitely. You do just have to keep backing them. I mean, some people say you don't hit your prime in cricket until you're 28. So there's a lot of time there for people to be able to develop and learn the art of bowl and spin. So yeah.
So if I had got injured at 23, I still had 5 years to go. I didn't realise that. I must admit. Now I feel ridiculously old. Looking through the Prem then, Ollie, let's have a look at those new and emerging and young players. Is there anyone who stood out for you?
So the one guy I would say is Arush from Kibworth. I don't think he played heaps of games this year. However, I know the games he played, he did do pretty well in, and I know he's on Northampton's books.
Okay.
He's a tricky player. And I'm pretty sure I did some coaching with this guy about 5 or 6 years ago. He was like 10 years old, and you could just tell this guy's going to be something. And so he would be one. If we're going to look out for somebody, he'd definitely be one to look out for in the future. Unfortunately, probably not at Leicestershire, but more so at Northants.
It's just over the border.
Just looking at his stats, I mean, it looks like Northants have poached him. Leicestershire County Cricket Club Academy under 14 in 2020, averaged only 2 games. Obviously, it was a tricky summer. We'll want the summer to forget, but 2 games there, and he scored 217 runs in 2 innings, 138 not out, and then he's popped up back in on Northants' books as an under 15 2021. So he's under 17 this year and averaged 30 in the Premier League, Leicester Premier League. So that's fantastic for a 17-year-old.
Definitely. Be interested to see how many games he gets next year, won't it?
Well, I mean, he might get a few games for Northants. He's averaged 50 in their under 18 side as an under 17. So terrific player.
What about at your place then, Ollie? Have you got anyone coming through at Rothley that we could keep an eye on?
We've got some lads who I think will develop into being some Premier League players, definitely. But we've had a lad called Connor Roth who's played second team, done really, really well, and has played for us in the Prem a little bit. And I think he's just at that age now where he's probably learning a little bit more about his game, a bit more about senior cricket. I think he's about 19 now, and I think he will develop into a very good Premier League player, no doubt about it. So yeah, he'd be one that we're trying to push.
It's a hell of a jump, isn't it? It's a hell of a jump, second team into the Prem, and you don't want to force that. You can ruin people's cricket by pushing it too soon, can't you? So they need to develop in their own time.
Yeah, I was going to ask Ollie that question. How important do you think it is for players to come through the ranks as such for the Prem? And blooding them too early can, literally, as Hugh said, ruin them completely. But at the same time, they've got to get that game somehow, haven't they?
Absolutely. I think the biggest problem that we have, or we tend to have had, is you put all this time into these guys at like 13, 14, 15, and then they go off to private school or they go off to university, experience other things in the world.
How dare they?
Yeah, and then cricket sort of gets put on the back burner a little bit. So I don't really do a lot with our juniors massively. That's done down to our club coach Anish Patel. I'm sure he'd have some names he could throw at you who's developing and are really good. But the biggest problem is you do get to a certain age, and then, like I said, they go off and they do other things, and then you put all your hopes into that guy, so to speak, to be your next Premier League opening bowler, opening bat, whatever. Luckily, at the minute, Connor Ross still around, so hopefully he'll be one that's going to take somebody's spot. But yeah, that does seem to be the problem. I think unless they are completely focused on cricket, they go to a university and they focus on cricket. Cricket does seem to get put on the back burner a little bit, probably like all sports, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's across the board. I chat with the guys who run the local football team here where I live, and they have exactly the same problems as we do. And that is, and you don't want to hold these kids back. You want to develop them as best you can, but the world is a big place. I think the hope there is that they come back. If they come back and live in the area after university or something, then they could actually be the rock of your side for 30 years.
Without a shadow, it's the biggest drop-off point in club cricket for juniors from 15 upwards. You only have to look at our local leagues here to see how many clubs have a team at 15 and then how many it goes down to at 17. It's a massive drop. And that's all down to, as you say, GCSEs, A-levels, discovered other things, university. And it's a little bit of a finger in the air, sort of, we wish they're going to come back then, isn't it, unfortunately?
Yeah, it is. I think that nothing gives any club better pleasure than actually creating your own players. And if you could have 1 to 11 and everyone's come from the Rothley parish, so to speak, that would be absolutely fantastic. But it just doesn't happen. We're always trying to create our own players. It's just keeping hold of them and hoping they don't go and find other experiences that takes them away from cricket.
Hey, let's before we come to an end, let's have a quick look forward to next season. You guys, I'm presuming, will be back indoors, like most people. You've got a number of players at all playing overseas at the moment?
No, we don't have anybody that's gone overseas. We're doing a bit of a batting sessions, so yeah, we start that this Sunday. Hopefully, a little bit earlier. Them extra 1%ers, as they say.
Yeah, is that batting sessions for everyone, including the bowlers?
That's for we can all go. Yeah, absolutely, we can all go. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll all be there. It's at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I think a few guys might still be hungover.
Welcome to club cricket and all that.
Definitely.
And then looking forward to next season, you're just expecting the same battle with Kibworth, going right throughout the season. Can you see Loughborough or Salby getting back up there as well?
Oh, definitely. I was a little bit surprised this year, to be honest, that Kibworth and ourselves weren't really pushed as probably as what I expected. There's some good sides out there. If you put 1 to 11, you put teams on paper. Your Newtown, Linford, Sarby Town. Sarby's batting lineup was fantastic. They're an unbelievable batting lineup. And your Loughboroughs, they're young, they're hungry. So I definitely don't expect it to be easy at all, and I'm pretty sure that there'll be challenges, and we'll be going up against Kibworth most definitely. Again.
You don't have to reveal anything, obviously, but you're looking at 1 or 2 new players as well?
Yeah, maybe one if I'm honest. A little bit of experience maybe in the middle of our batting lineup, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not fussed at all, to be honest. I still want to, if anything, it'd be nice to take the same 11 again with us next season and go that one better and win the league with the 11 that we've got. That would give you more pride doing it that way rather than going out there and signing X, Y, and Z. But if we can take the 1 to 11 we've got, I'd be pretty happy with that anyway. Yeah,
there'd be some satisfaction in taking that group forward again, wouldn't there?
Absolutely, definitely.
It's been great talk about the Leicestershire Rutland League, and we've got to know a little bit more about it. Obviously, we'll keep in touch, particular once we get into the season, and fingers crossed, get you or one of the guys or Dieter or whoever onto the pod during the season and see what's happening over in Leicestershire again. Hey,
no problem. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thanks a lot. Thanks you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.